Is there a knob of ginger sitting in your refrigerator right now? Most people slice it into soups, brew it into tea, and think they are getting the full benefit. But today's science reveals something that changes everything about how you should be using ginger. The way you prepare it determines whether you are getting a fraction of its power or the full force. Inside ginger, there are two primary active compounds that define its health effects. The first is gingerol. This is the compound responsible for the sharp, spicy warmth in fresh ginger. It is well documented for its antimicrobial, digestive, and anti-nausea properties, but the second compound is the one that truly matters for fighting inflammation and cancer. It is called shogal. Shogal does not exist in meaningful amounts in fresh ginger. It is formed when gingerol undergoes a chemical transformation through heat and drying, and according to a growing body of peer-reviewed research, 6-shogal is considerably more potent than 6-gingerol in virtually every health-relevant category. Multiple studies published in leading food and pharmaceutical science journals have concluded that 6-shogal outperforms 6-gingerol in antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activity. One landmark study found that 6-shogal is actually more effective at suppressing the COX-2 and INOS inflammatory enzymes than both 6-gingerol and curcumin, the celebrated active compound in turmeric. These two enzymes are central switches in the body's inflammatory cascade. When they are chronically activated, the result is the kind of low-grade, systemic inflammation linked to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, and cancer. Shogal targets the NF-kappa B signaling pathway upstream of both enzymes, essentially cutting the inflammation response off at its source. The anti-cancer research on shogal is equally striking. Studies on human cancer cell lines found that shogal exhibited significantly stronger growth, inhibitory effects on lung cancer, ovarian cancer, and breast cancer cells compared to gingerol. More recently, 6-shogal has been shown to target cancer stem cells, the most treatment-resistant cells in a tumor, triggering their self-destruction through a process called apoptosis. This is the body's built-in cellular cleanup mechanism that cancer cells work hard to evade. Shogal reactivates it. Now here is the critical practical question. How do you maximize shogal in your own kitchen? A study published in the journal Food Chemistry measured 6-shogal levels across different ginger processing methods. When fresh ginger was subjected to heat-based processing, 6-shogal content jumped from 4.84 mg per gram to 99.10 mg per gram. That is more than a 20-fold increase. Separate research confirmed that steaming, followed by slow drying, achieves the most efficient gingerol to shogal conversion, with temperatures between 60 and 150 degrees Celsius, accelerating the transformation. This is exactly what traditional Asian medicine has practiced for centuries, in the form of processed dried ginger, validating ancient wisdom with modern molecular science. Here is how to make it at home. Wash 300 grams of fresh ginger and slice it thin, about 2 to 3 millimeters, keeping the skin on since it contains active compounds. Steam the slices in a steamer basket over vigorously boiling water for 20 to 25 minutes. Then spread the steamed slices on a baking tray and dry them in your oven at 60 to 70 degrees Celsius for 3 to 4 hours, until completely dry and brittle. Grind the dried pieces into a fine powder and store in an airtight glass jar. This keeps for 3 to 6 months. You have now created a shogal-rich ingredient, many times more potent than the raw ginger you used to toss into soup. The simplest way to use this processed ginger powder is as a daily tea. Add half a teaspoon, roughly 1 to 1.5 grams, to 200 milliliters of hot water. A small amount of honey and a few drops of lemon juice. Improve both the taste and the nutritional profile. Drink this after a meal rather than on an empty stomach to avoid irritation. Once or twice per day is the recommended frequency. For cooking, this powder blends into stir-fries, marinades, and broths just as easily as fresh ginger, while delivering a far greater concentration of anti-inflammatory compounds. Clinical evidence supports the inflammation-lowering effects of regular ginger use. A systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials found significant reductions in blood CRP and TNF-alpha levels among participants who consumed ginger. Consistently compared to placebo groups. Clinical studies in rheumatoid arthritis. Patients found meaningful reductions in joint pain and restricted movement with daily ginger intake of around 3 grams. Importantly, the majority of these studies used dried or processed ginger, forms where shogal is the dominant active compound. Important precautions apply. People taking blood thinning medications must consult their doctor before increasing ginger intake, as ginger can enhance anticoagulant effects. Those scheduled for surgery should avoid high-dose ginger supplementation for at least 2 weeks beforehand. Individuals with acid reflux should avoid ginger on an empty stomach and start with very small amounts. Pregnant women should limit intake to culinary amounts and consult their doctor before using ginger in supplement form. If you experience stomach discomfort at any dose, reduce your intake immediately. The science is clear and consistent. Steaming and drying ginger is not complicated, and the difference in shogal concentration is dramatic. You already have the ingredient. All that changes is how you treat it before using it. Start tonight. 20 minutes of steaming is the only investment required to turn an ordinary kitchen staple into one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory tools available. If this video was useful, please subscribe and like. Hit the notification bell so you get our next health deep dive the moment it goes live. Drop a comment telling us whether you have tried processed ginger before and what you noticed. We read every reply.